You're welcome, viewers. You're welcome to the show again. This is Zero to Hero Moments with Someone Said As You Know It. And I'm excited to introduce to you my guest for today. He is a serial entrepreneur, he is an investor, and he is the owner and creator of Agro Angels. And I am glad to introduce him because he is my personal coach. Meet Dipo Adesina.
Hey, thank you.
Nice to have you here, man.
Thank you so much for having me, Seyi.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's an honor to have a coach. I would say coach of coaches even, because I've been on your platform and I've seen what you do. I've seen the value you give to people and how you've helped people, like pull people up, teach them the way to go so they can stand on their feet.
Thank you so much
for all you do.
My pleasure.
You're welcome again. So, like you know, this program is not about what you can get. And I want to thank you for that too. It's not about what you can get. It is mostly about what you can give. And in giving, like I said, I'm a student of yours. I know what you've been given, and it's huge. So I want you to tell us where your zero moments, when it was, how it was, and how you kind of navigated through that zero moment. If you don't.
Gotcha. Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think in the world of entrepreneurship, everyone will always have one of these moments we call zero moments. Mm-hmm. And for me, I think I've had several of those, most especially when I first started several of my businesses.
Cool.
The one that easily comes to mind is my company, Agro Angels. Several years ago, we started a company. I trusted one of my, cousins back home in Nigeria to kind of run that operation. And to cut the long story short, what I was expecting or what I was paying for was not what I got. Oh. I got a lot of investors to invest in that project because it's an agriculture project. I'm talking about millions of naira, right? At the end of the day, everything pretty much failed, literally, to the point where I became responsible paying back all the investors. And I think, one of the things that I've always valued is, the scripture where it says that a good name is better than riches.
Very well.
So I always strive to protect my name when it comes to business. Yeah. So though it costs my family a lot, I have to sacrifice financially so that I can pay investors. So technically speaking, I lost twice, right? Wow. I lost the investors' money.
Then, you have to
then I have to pay back the investors. Yeah. But I think Seyi, as an entrepreneur, is one of those things where that there's no turning back, right? If you work in 9 to 5, it's easy for you to quit a job and go and look for another one. Mm-hmm. But as an entrepreneur, you can't quit. You just have to keep pushing until you win. So, we thank God we made it through that. We paid back all our investors and we're kind of rebuilding from the ground up again.
Oh, wow. That's nice. That's nice. And so in that period of loss, what was Madam like? We know in every household, the woman is the accountant and they manage the money but
sorry,
as a man,
I lost you a little bit.
Okay.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I was like, during that period when you encountered that loss, what was the reaction of the madam of the house? I know the women are very, very particular about funds. They are very conservative. Oh, don't put too much. Let's see what it does and all that. How did that go with that?
Yeah, I'm a very lucky dude, man. Because my wife has always been very supportive, in anything that I do. Because if the venture becomes successful, it's a win for the family, right? Sure. So at the same time, if you lose, you can't necessarily say, "Hey, you failed," or "Why are you always engaging in bad businesses?" So she's been very supportive. Like I said, it was challenging. Some businesses that we're doing now even still requires a lot of capital, which means that it's less for the family and more has to go into the business. But she's an entrepreneur herself, so she understands how these things go, which kind of makes it a bit easier for the family.
That's good. That's good. So my next following question will be, you said you trusted a family friend from Nigeria, and obviously you're still in the agro angel business, right? So how did you overcome the fear of who to trust? Because I know for so many people out here, it would be like, you can't do business in Nigeria. You have to be there, you this and that. And for you, I know that you have the agro angels, and you even went as far as Kigali, Rwanda, to do business. Dipo, a speaker once said, actually, it's Fela Drotoye. He said, there is a difference between international and global, right? Being international is dealing with Nigerians. Even if you travel out, you're still dealing with Nigerians.
Right.
But being global, everything you do touches so many people's life from diverse countries, right? So how did you decide and trust to go into Kigali, for example, and back to Nigeria to continue, and still trust to get things going?
Yeah, so the trust factor is something that got to be developed with anybody you're working with. So I decided that I was going to be traveling a bit more than I used to, right? So any businesses that I'm engaged in, I have to be present, because when you are, as I always term it, if you're a general overseer from overseas and you think you're managing something back home, you can't succeed. You're not going to succeed, right? But when people know that you're constantly present, it changes the dynamic. So for me, I started traveling back home more, started leveraging technology more for all of our projects, and for Kigali, that was a little bit different because my brother and my other business partner actually moved to Rwanda, right? So now it's more like we're present, even though I'm not physically there, right? Rather than say, hey, we're going to trust somebody to help us run the business. It's not the kind of business we're running in Rwanda. It's not the kind that you can just allow anybody to run it for you, right? So for me, anybody who's looking to do business overseas, you have to be present, right? People got to know you're real, that you're always around, versus only calling to get updates. That's what the big difference is.
Cool. And briefly, can you kind of tell us what you do in Kigali, for example?
Yeah, so we operate several e-mobility companies because Rwanda is a very forward-thinking nation, and they are trying to transition from emission-based transportation to electric-based transportation. So we are one of the 3 companies in the e-mobility sector that's kind of working with the government to bring about that change. So we have electric bicycles, smart bikes, electric scooters, electric motorcycles. Everything about our company has to do with being green, right? And so we're really in some of our business models, we're the first company to introduce these different business models to the country. So it's pretty exciting what we're doing over there in Kigali.
That's great. My next question will be for people that are scared to go into business, either here or outside the country, to expand their tentacles. What advice will you have? Because obviously you do it and it's working for you.
Yeah, so it's one of 2 things. You're either comfortable working 9 to 5 and getting paid every 2 weeks, and being comfortable that when it's time to retire, you're just going to be left with a stipend, whatever the government gives you, or you decide to take risk. There is not one successful person on this planet that became successful without taking risk. right? In fact, your life
Sure.
is a risk.
Yeah.
You leave the house, you're taking a risk by driving on the road because anything can happen. So I think that the more people understand that success, part of this equation for success is taking risk, okay? And part of taking risk means being comfortable with losses, right? You're not going to win 100% of the time. So
Yeah.
once you're comfortable with taking losses, it can literally accelerate your success rate. All right.
Yeah.
But when you're terrified of, oh, I have $20,000, I'm afraid to lose $2,000 from this money, you can never be successful.
You can never be successful.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's when you lose, you
learn,
recuperate, you think, and you strategize to come back. Right.
Yeah.
So anyone who's watching this and is afraid to take risk, I would tell you, man, just jump in the water and start swimming. And you'll never know how far you can swim once you jump in.
Oh wow. Oh wow. They say when you lose, you don't lose, you learn.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah, you learn. Then you go again and you make sure not to repeat whatever you did that made you lose. Right. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So I'll bring you back a little bit, like a few steps. Recognizing these opportunities. I know you are into agriculture, you are into transportation in Kigali. And for sure, I know what brought me to you was the crypto. How did you recognize these opportunities? How did you, because obviously opportunities are everywhere, right?
Sure.
How did you recognize them? That is the first question. And the following question will be, how did you come to terms with them? Obviously, you said you have to take risks, but recognizing it is one thing. Coming to terms to say, I will do this and I will be successful at this is another.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, I'm an opportunist, which means that I'm constantly looking at opportunities. In fact, I attract opportunities almost every day.
Wow.
Right. Because that's the way my mind is conditioned. And I always look for ways where I can solve other people's problems. With cryptocurrency, I stumbled upon it because in 2016, one of my friends in Nigeria often called me that, hey, he wants to buy crypto. So what I would do back then was I would buy Bitcoin, which was around $600, and I would sell it to him for a markup, right? And make a little bit of profit. So that was how I started with crypto. And gradually I started noticing, wait, this thing is actually growing from 600 to 800 to 1,000. So then I started to pay a lot more attention to, what exactly is this crypto, right? What is it about? And then the more knowledgeable I became, the more I started to take it seriously. And then more recently, when I discovered that, honestly, anybody who wants to create wealth in the long term must have crypto as part of their portfolio. So what I did was I put together a course to help as many people as possible. Because what happened, Seyi, was that a lot of people kept on asking me, where do I buy it from? What can I buy? How do I know this? How do I know that? And I can't explain that to everybody. So, we put together the course and then that kind of took off and started being a blessing to different people around the world.
It sure has been a blessing. It sure has been a blessing. And I'm a living witness to that. I'm by myself now. I'm not a guru yet, but I learned by the day. And you're still there. You're still grooming myself and other people. Thank you so much for that.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah. From what you said, I want to kind of highlight or break it down to two different things. So for opportunities, you either go for it, go looking for it, or you can stumble on it like you did with crypto, right?
Yeah.
So crypto was someone else introducing it for their own sake. You weren't even interested in it, but you got to find this might be an opportunity and you tapped into
it.
And now you're a coach.
Yeah.
Wow, that is great. That is great. So from there on, I will jump into empowerment. Like I said, I am a student and I know how you empower people. But for viewers that don't know much about you or what you do, in what ways do you empower people?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, I think one of the gifts that God has given to me is the ability to inspire people with words,
Mm.
right? So I do empower people financially, but I think knowledge is the most important aspect of empowerment
Yeah.
because when people know something, they can do better.
Yeah.
So I focus more on creating content that everyday people can relate to, right?
Mm.
And one of the areas that I focus more in is the area of finances because money, I mean, I don't care what language you speak, where you're from, everybody understands the language of money.
Mm.
But not everybody do not know how to earn money,
Yes.
right? So I focus a lot of my time on. That's why I'm so so much of an opportunist because if I find something that's lucrative that can create wealth, I'm quick to share it because it might not be for you, Seyi, but it
Yeah.
can be for John, right?
Definitely.
That's why I'm constantly putting out content to empower as many people as possible financially, which of course will
Definitely.
have a trickle down effect in other aspects of their lives.
Definitely. And to buttress that, I'll say from where I am and from who I know you to be, the courses you put out is empowering people. Because like I said, I'm by myself now. I don't call you every minute
Absolutely.
like I used to. Oh, Dipo, what's up?
Right.
What's up? Right?
Right.
And you know that, and you took your time to kind of groom us to where we are.
Right.
And I
Right.
remember on that platform, there were almost 100 of us, or
Yes.
over 100 or something like that,
Yeah.
right? And that was great. And the other way will be job creation. Kigali, if
Oh,
you
yeah.
didn't move to Kigali, I don't know what your job, the workers you have, I don't know how many, but even if there are two of them, that's job creation. And
Yeah.
you're not limiting it to the US or to Nigeria because you're from Nigeria. You're
Sure.
expanding your tentacles. So that's great. You're creating wealth for yourself, you're creating wealth for people, and you're getting people engaged.
By
That's
God's
really great.
grace. Yeah.
Thank you for influencing the world, Dipo.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Going forward, I want to ask what your philosophy is. What rule or code do you go by?
Sorry, say that again.
What's your philosophy of life? What rule or code do you go by?
I think that's a tough one, but I think what I internalize every day is that my principle is that life is all about people,
Mm.
right? And when you realize, I mean, I've thought about this so much that Shay, why do we want more money,
Mm.
right? Why do we do what we do, right? If it was only Shay living on this planet, like,
Yeah.
would you still be doing what you're doing right now? Right? Why is Shay doing a YouTube channel? Like, for
Mm.
what? Right? If you
Yeah.
think deep about that question, it's like, yo, Shay wants to empower people.
Yes.
The reason why we own businesses is not because I can just become wealthy,
Yeah.
but what can I do with that money to be a blessing?
To
Right?
influence people.
So with that mindset, I've learned to, number one, be content with what I have.
Okay.
Number two, to value other people irrespective of where they're from and what they have. Because I believe that anybody can become somebody great, right?
Of course.
So
Yeah.
my philosophy has influenced the way that I think about money, I think
Mhm.
about business, and really how can I be a blessing to as much people as possible before I leave this earth.
Great. Great. Thank you. Thank you. That's perfect. That's perfect.
Thank
So
you.
I want to ask on a final note. Like I said, this is going to be short. Where is your limit? Should we set a limit? Should we set a target? Should we set a boundary for, say, I only need 10 million, or I only need 10,000 people to influence, or I only need this or that?
Yeah, I think it depends on your personal goal in life. For most people, when you say, "Hey, I only need 10 million," They might have thought about, maybe I'll be able to buy a house. I can retire. I can spend, maybe $50,000 every year until I'm 85. By then I'll be dead. So that might be that person's goal, right? For my personal goal, I don't have any monetary limit because the kind of things that I want to do and be the kind of blessing I want to be to people, I can't really put a limit on that type of financial need at that point, right? So I think the goal is to, number one, know exactly what you want to accomplish, and that would be a driving force. For me, my goal is what drives me every day, right? Why I wake up every day, why I do what I do, even when as I'm talking to you right now, I am extremely tired. But I still gotta come to the office. I still gotta work. I still have other meetings, but it's the goal at the back of my mind that keeps pushing me to do that. So anyone can choose to have a limit, but like I said, for me, I don't have a limit because my goals are just too ambitious to set a cap on it.
Yeah, it just keeps growing. I mean, it's like what do they say? Even with limits, once you cap, it never stops because people like us will keep coming, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and being a coach, you're always there. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for what you give to us. Even when you don't have to. I've said that to you once or twice. Even when you don't have to, you still give it. And you are the kind of influencer that we want around. And
thank you.
Like I said, this show is just to empower and enable people to push for what they even don't think they can attain. And with you and with other speakers that we've had on the show, we are accomplishing that bit by bit. So thank you for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
I will sign out and let you go do your duties so I don't take too much of your time. Thank you so much, Dipo.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Yeah. Have a good day, man.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Yeah. So there you have it. The limit you have is you, as I've always said. However, we don't all necessarily have to fail to learn. If you have questions for coaching or for mentorship, you can always reach Dipo Adesina on his social media, and I'll leave his handles in the description. Check it out. Send him DMs, especially on Messenger. He responds to them. He is a coach, like I said, and you will be glad you contacted him. Having said that, make sure to subscribe to Someone Said on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. My links are in the description as well. Here is where we talk about raw knowledge, how to grow, mistakes corrected, and how to live life on a progressive growth. And until I see you again, I'm still that boy, that friend of yours, that voice behind your mind that tickles you and pricks you to keep getting better. Until the next one, I am Oyetuga Seyi, signing out.